Right, time for our market outlook thanks to our partners Forsyth Barr. It's been a wild ride for global equity markets in recent months, we all know this. How are things going and how did they start to settle down? Zoe Wallace, investment strategist with Forsyth Barr, is with us this morning. Zoe, good morning.
Good morning, Graham. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Has been a wild old ride, but things have sort of settled down from where they went over the last couple of months.
They have indeed. It's quite surprising when you look back and think about what happened following Liberation Day in early April. And I think everyone opening their KiwiSaver balances or their investment accounts got a pretty nasty shock in those sort of subsequent days. What we've seen since then, however, is a pretty solid market recovery. And actually, when you look at even the US equity market and how it compares to where it was tracking at the beginning of the year, it's net almost unchanged to slightly higher. So quite remarkable recovery, really.
And last week, of course, we had this trade court, small trade court no one had ever really heard of before in New York, try and put a stop to Trump's agenda, but the market's not really taking that much notice.
Yeah, look, so the US International Court of Trade very much said, well, hey, what Trump tried to do with implementing tariffs, the way he did that, using emergency powers, was generally actually illegal, essentially. Those emergency powers were designed to be used for, national crises. And what Trump justified using them under is that actually declaring, the fact that the US has a big trade deficit, meaning it imports more than it exports, is actually a national emergency. And that had always been subject to question marks over the legitimacy of that. And the court basically ruled that, hey, it wasn't legal. And that would see, if that ruling stands, the 10% import tariff on NZ's exports to the US actually be removed. However, for now, obviously, the White House is fighting pretty hard to appeal against that decision. And so there's an appeal process currently in place, and we'll wait to see what happens on the back of that.
So why is everyone talking about tacos?
Tacos in the market acronym is unfortunately not the food, but is the new favourite acronym for financial markets. It means Trump always chickens out. So what this has been sort of come into vogue because of is that, there was a lot of expectation that Trump has talked a big game. Where reality has actually ended up is that often he talks a big game to begin with and then actually chickens out essentially and has to pull back whatever he suggested because markets don't like it. There's too many concerns about what it could do to the US economy, or it's seen as too unfavourable for the US Republican Party.
Interesting. So great to have you on the show as always. Thank you very much for that update. That is Zoe Wallace, investment strategist for Forsyth Barr. Forsyth Barr, of course, our partners for these market updates. It is 8:21. Time for